Okay, so when we left off in video 2, we were at this point. We have essentially a database with 2 million different observations, 2,120,288. We're going to use that in just a little bit here. And we had just created a series of variables out here that were related to firefighter injuries and the rest of these. One thing I want to do is I want to change up some of this. Originally, I was going to go through and use some of that volunteer fire department information from the U.S. Fire Administration, and it didn't really work out because the census isn't thorough enough to actually use for an independent variable, which is disappointing, but I found another way to do something that's fairly interesting, but it involves using an interactive variable construction. And so before we go through there, I want to refine some of the variable names, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to calculate a series of interactive variables. So the first thing that I want to do is I just want to go to the variable view. So click variable view, and let's change some of these because when I got done with them, I wasn't very happy with them. So let me just click into this space here. The first problem I saw was I have this one labeled firefighter injuries, but we have a dichotomous variable, and so that's kind of foolish. So we'll just do firefighter injury, just not plural. So that just tells you if it's a 0 or 1. And these are a little long, so I'm just going to go with the 2-digit ones. So that's fire control, search and rescue, EMS. This one will just make hazard, HAZ. Fire rescue hazard, systems and something, assistance, IIE, which was kind of the show up and investigate. And then this one is like standby and other is what I think those are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an interactive variable, and so I wanted a little bit shorter original independent variable name so that I could just add 2 letters to the back of it to show that it's interacted. Our next step is to convert these dichotomous variables into interactive variables. Well, we're not actually going to convert them, we're just going to create new variables. But we're going to take advantage of some additional information that's available above. Up above, under the resource coding of the NFIRS database, we have a series of variables related to apparatus and also based to personnel. And so what we're going to do is we're going to combine the suppression personnel and the EMS personnel into a N responders variable, and we're going to interact it with these different dichotomous categories down here. We're also going to use this other personnel, which is essentially the leadership or oversight. It's the chiefs and captains and that kind of people driving the cars, I guess, to the scene. So we'll also include those. But the first step that we have to do is we have to create that N responders variable. So let's do it very quickly. First, we'll go through and we'll hit transform. We'll compute variable. Here we'll reset this. We'll just do N respond equals, and we'll go here, suppression personnel plus EMS personnel. We'll just do that. Click there and it'll go okay. The other thing we're going to do, we're just going to create another variable, and others. And that we're just going to simply make that one variable, other personnel. We could just use that variable, but it's easy to get your dependent variables and independent variables in a row and have them all in the same kind of coding. So we'll just create that variable really quick. It's not that hard. So we went through and we computed. Everything's good. Let's take a look down here. Now we have numeric ones. We can make those 0 if we like. Make those 0, 0 if we like, and let's go and see what we got. Out here to the right, we should have number of responders and number of others over here. So we'll have this one, it was an IIE event. They had 7 responders and 1 oversight role essentially, and that's kind of how it worked. This one had 15. No, that kind of is a little bit weird, but we're going to have a little bit of coding error here, I imagine. But that's part of the game. We'll try to take care of that through a random sampling strategy. Okay. So, first thing we'll do is we'll come through and we'll interact number of responders with fire control, search and rescue, EMS, hazard, etc. And so I'll stop here and then I'll go through those steps real quick. Just a series of compute variables, not very hard. All right, so these are just a series of calculations. We're going to start with the first one we'll call FC, and then we're going to interact it with number of responders. So we'll just say FCNR equals to FC times N responders. And then we'll put that in, click it OK, and go. I'll show you the other ones. I'm just going to pause real quickly and show you each calculation. One is going to be search and rescue times number of responders, and so there it is, SNR NR times number of responders should be okay. Click OK and go. The next one's going to be EMS NR, EMS times number of responders. Click OK. It's going to be hazard. So it's going to be HAZNR, and it's going to be, actually I got that variable wrong, it's just simply HAZ times N responders. Next one is fire rescue hazard NR, and it's going to be FRH times N responders. Next one is going to be systems and services. That one is going to be SNSNR, SNS times number of responders. Next one's going to be assistance, so it's ASSTNR, ASST times number of responders. Next one is going to be information investigation. That one is going to probably be a null category, but we're going to calculate it anyway. We may end up using it once we get to speccing out the model. So it'll be IIE NR, and that'll just be IIE times number of responders. Got that one wrong initially, so that should work. And then finally, the last one is fill in, standby, and other. That's going to be FSONR, just FSO times number of responders. Click OK, should go. All right, good. Let's click on a few things here. We can, if you like, go back and change all those to zeros, but let's take a quick look at what we did out here. If we go all the way to the right, we had these dichotomous variables. This is our dependent variable. These are our dichotomous categorical variables, and then these are the number of responders. These are the continuous. This is the continuous interaction. This is another continuous independent variable, and then you have this series of interacted variables. So you have the number of 7 responders in fire control event. Right? You had 8 in an EMS. Right? 7 for fire rescue hazard, etc. And those all look pretty good. That takes us through this. I'm going to stop here. Our next challenge is to go through and select a random sample of observations from this big 2 million observations, and that's going to require that we fit a sample. So that'll probably be the next video.